Hi everyone, my name is Ramanjotkar. I'm an international student studying at Utica University. So today we will be having conversation with Miss Kat. She is the director of tutoring services. Let's talk to her. So could you please tell me something about yourself?
Sure. So I have been the director of tutoring services here at Utica University for about 1.5 years.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm. I supervise between 25 and 30 people, give or take. And I have about a decade or so of higher education experience and more beyond that for tutoring.
So I would like to ask you, what are the few skills a leader should definitely have? I mean, what makes a leader?
I think that a leader needs to be able to listen to other people. I think that's the most important skill. I think that you have to be able to have a good interpersonal relationship with people and communicate and be very clear. But again, that listening piece, that piece of like, what do you want, right? Because a leader, I think, can go the wrong way. If you're just trying to force your will on people, that's not really what makes a good leader, right? A good leader should listen and respond and connect, not just say, okay, go do that.
Okay,
You know, again, difference between me as a leader and me as a boss. Sometimes I have to say, like, I'm about to go over people's timesheets, and I got to tell you, some people probably didn't turn their timesheet in yet. And I'll have to be like, you got to turn in your timesheet or you got to get paid. That's me telling people what to do. But to be a leader is more involved than that, right? It's more of a, all right, let's talk together as a community. What do you want? What do you think makes a good tutor? How can we connect? That's a different piece than turn your timesheet in.
So you feel there are too many qualities a leader should have, right?
There are a lot of qualities.
I think you have all these qualities, like you are explaining it so smoothly, and you're also smiling. You have smiling face. I feel so glad to be with you for today's interview. So, and nice to meet you.
Namaste, my name is Aman and we are Team 7. Today we have the Director of MBA department, Mr. Mohammed. Sorry, Professor Mohammed. Sorry, Dr. Mohammed. So please introduce yourself. You have multiple things. And
Sure. Yeah, no, you can just call me Matt. That's fine. My name is Matt Marmette. I'm the Assistant Professor of Management and the Director of the MBA program here at Utica University.
So sir, as you are the Professor of Leadership and we are loving how you are teaching us, and it is a great journey till now. So we got a project of a leadership and I have a questions for you.
Okay.
So the first question goes, what are the challenges do you face while being a leader?
So my biggest challenge, I think, for me is having difficult conversations with people. So I'll just tell you a brief story. We had a faculty member who was teaching a class, and I was receiving quite a few student complaints about the class. And as the director of the program, it's my job to approach that faculty member about these complaints. And this person had a very vested interest in the class he was teaching because he designed it. And so I knew that this conversation that this person and I were going to have was going to be a tough one, because he was going to take it as a personal attack, because he designed the course. And so, at the end of the day, though, if I didn't have that conversation with him, that meant that I was ignoring all of those student concerns. And as the director of the program, that was not an option. So I ended up having a very difficult conversation with that person, who prior to that conversation, he and I were actually friends, and we are not friends anymore. So that gives you an idea how the conversation went on his end.
Yeah.
So it was a really hard conversation, but I think that's one of the biggest challenges, because it's not comfortable to have those conversations, and I don't like the anxiety of being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so that's probably my biggest challenge that I've faced as a leader in this program.
So sir, like while the challenges, you have taken some kind of approach. So like it's the continuation of the question, what's make you a positive approach while being in this situation? Because every individual be in this situation where he is not comfortable or she is not comfortable.
Yep.
So what are the approach you have taken to get settled down things?
Yeah, I've realized that sometimes you just have to do things that are uncomfortable for the greater good, right? As I mentioned earlier, if I didn't have that conversation with that person, that meant that I was completely ignoring the students who, from a program perspective, are the most important piece. Like, faculty members were important. You know, we provide the knowledge and teach the classes and design and assess everybody's work. But at the end of the day, it's the student experience or the experiences of the students as they're moving through the program that's most important to me. And so if I'm completely ignoring that experience, that means that they're having a bad one. And so I needed to get both sides. And that was really my intention going into that conversation was, I want to get this instructor's side. I'm hearing it from the students this way. What is his take on it? And so I did that because I wanted to make sure that the students were having a positive experience. And now they had already been through the class, right? So for them, it was a little too late, but they raised the concern so that students coming behind them might not have those same negative experiences. And again, if I didn't address them, then it would have just been a continuous cycle of negativity going down through more and more students as they went through the program.
So I remember a quote of a Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm.
when it's great responsibility comes, what was the
With
quote?
great power comes great
Great
responsibility.
responsibility.
Yeah, Spider-Man is my favorite
Same.
superhero. Yeah.
So I feel being a leader is too tough, and when you have a responsibility, you have to do it for the sake of your work.
Yes, absolutely.
So the last question all of us were struggling with: how to handle the stress in a multitasking way.
So I like to chunk my stress out into smaller increments of stress. So like, if you let all of the stress that you got on your plate come at you all at once, you're going to be frozen, right? Because you don't know, like, what do I tackle first, right? So I'm a big to-do list guy, and it sounds simple, but it works. But in addition to creating a to-do list, I like to prioritize the small wins first. And by that, what I mean is, if I've got 100 things to do, I'm going to do the first 5 easiest things, because what that does is it gives you positive psychology and positive motivation going forward, and you gain momentum. And it's like a snowball. So you get those first 5 things done, the snowball grows a little bit, then you get the next 5 things done that are a little bit harder, but still not as difficult, and the snowball keeps growing. And then before you know it, you've got 20 things checked off your list out of 100, and you feel really good about yourself. So that's what I do. I compartmentalize it in terms of like tasks and time and schedule management. But I also try to get the small victories. You know, I always tell people, celebrate the small victories, because as little or minute that the task might be, putting that check mark next to it, or crossing a line, crossing it out, or putting a line through it, psychologically matters quite a bit.
So like, having a big goal is okay, but you should be having a sub goals, and then you have to
Sure, yeah, work on, and that's a great point. So like, when you talk about project management,
Mm-hmm.
right? You've got an end goal, but you don't sit here at the beginning and only focus on that end goal. You've got milestones like along the way, right? That you celebrate each one of those milestones, no matter how small or big it is, because you are making progress on your journey towards that end goal. And that's really what the main goal actually is to complete the project, right?
And I feel MBA is a time management journey, because you learn how to manage time.
Yes.
And do you feel it's the same, like the page and the...
Absolutely, yeah. The corollaries between what MBA students go through in terms of, you know, you have to manage your day, figure out when you're going to study. You know, obviously you know when you have to be in class, but at the same time you've got to manage time in there to sit down on the couch and kick your feet up for a few minutes, right? So it's like, you've got to manage all of your work life, and for you, work is school, and you also have to manage your personal life to make sure that the school or the work life doesn't drive you completely crazy. And so being able to do that, I think is critical. You know, not only for your success at work and at home, but also for your own mental health as well.
Thank you, Matt. And now I'm saying Matt.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
So thank you, and I appreciate your time because we just got 20 minutes, and thank you for that.
Absolutely, you got it. My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for being with us from Team 7.